Hi there. My name is Ash, and this is COCOON. Nominated for the Best Indie Game and Best Debut Indie Game for this year's Game Awards. It is a mind-bending puzzle game where you jump between worlds, each contained within its own orb that you can carry around on your back. Time's gonna start here when I gain control right about now. And yeah, this game was made by Geometric Interactive, composed of Jeppe Carlsen, who you may know as the lead gameplay designer on Playdead, who made games like Limbo and Inside. He also made games, a few indie games like 140, which I'm very fond of, and Thoth. And also there is Jakob Schmidt, who is amazing sound designer. I'll go into it a bit later, but first, we're about to get our first bit of tech here. So there are two types of inputs in this game. There's press inputs and there's held inputs. This one's a held input. If we let go at just the right time, which I wind up failing to do in this attempt, you can minimize the bounce you'll get at the end of that little lift. And that saves you just a little bit of time. This game is all about tiny little optimizations. And yeah, this is just, like, we will wind up abusing every little leniency measure that was implemented to make the game feel good. All of that, we're abusing all of it. So here we're getting introduced to sort of the main concept of the game. You see, we just leaped out of that portal, and now the world that we were just in is inside that orb. And we're confronted by this being here. None of these have official names besides ancestors. So I gave them names myself. That one is Giratina. Also, there's an ongoing debate in this game, in this game's community, rather, about that orb that you're looking at right there. What color is it? Is it red or is it orange? Even the developers of the game can't agree. So yeah, there's a lot of like walking in this game, which not typically great for a speedrun, but like it does introduce a lot of optimization in regards to like the lines that you're taking. You have full 360-degree control with a joystick, so obviously I'll be taking full advantage of that. I have the input display on the bottom right in this particular video. This game is also really accessible. It's controlled just with the joystick or WASD and a single interact button. Here we have these little hold switches. You have to be standing on them to activate them. And if you step off, you deactivate them. So the orbs are also used for a bunch of contraptions, like this door. We want to optimize this door because like it's two sets of doors, and putting the orb in the thing moves the door. We want to get it as close as possible, have the orb in there for as little time as possible. That's going to be the theme recurring throughout all of these little puzzles, just tiny little optimizations that wind up adding up to save lots of time in the big picture. So coming up here, we're going to have our first instance of a key, which I would rather call a friend. Each of these has a puzzle to find the code that you unlock. These codes don't change between playthroughs, so we just know them in advance. Now, a funny story about these friends, as I like to call them. There is a secret ending in this game that took us over a week after the game was released, and a hint from the Geometric Interactive Twitter account to even get a lead on finding. And then it took the entire speedrun and I guess Steam community separately to find the secret ending. And it does have to do with these friends and specific sequences of codes that you can put in. And I won't go much farther than that, because it will be a donation incentive. Now we got into our first sort of like hub where we can go back into the orbs. And now we've brought our little friend over here. You can open these gates for us, and we're going to lead him to his home, I assume. There's a lot of lore in this game, not a lot of it makes sense. And with that, we're going to open the very big door. There's a lot of amazing cinematic scenes in this game. Like, just the world building and just everything visual about this game is just, like, amazing. Here we have this little pull cart, as it's called in the internal files. It has an official name, I forget what it is. But yeah, we want to let go of this as soon as possible, just to walk across. I think I got it as soon as possible, I'm not sure. Yep, and if it wasn't clear, I'm post-commentating this run because it is, this game is very concentration heavy. And if it does get in, I will have a couch to do all this talking for me. Now, there's a little black goo, that little black goo on the left there, that signals what's called a moon ancestor, and that's the main collectible in this game. There are 11 of them. That are just hidden around the game. They don't trigger anything, but it is its own category to get all 11 of them, and that will also be donation incentive. Adds about 5 minutes to the run. Now here we have our first boss. This is Giratina, or as I call it, Giratina, because it doesn't have another name to go by. Now, for bosses in this game, touching them at all will cause you to die, quote-unquote. The boss will throw you out of the world, and you'll have to restart the boss. In this case, getting hit by the crystals does the same thing. The way we win is by getting those little bombs and hitting the boss with it. We want to, like, since the boss chases us in straight lines, we want to get him to use the shortest lines possible. So it does get us close to death a lot. It's also worth noting that the location those little bomb orbs spawn in is random. The bosses are the only source, and a very significant source of RNG in this game. Now for this third phase, it's really just a sort of dodging phase. After 3 patterns of this whole little cycle thing, a bomb orb will spawn exactly opposite where you are. And there is a very small chance that you get the rotation that just happened. So you get all of them go clockwise, in which case you're screwed and you lose a cycle. But thankfully, I didn't get that on the cycle where it mattered. So what I did there is, after we beat the boss, I reloaded the game from the checkpoint. This game uses a checkpoint system where every so often the game saves a checkpoint and you can reload to that checkpoint. It does this automatically, and we have auto splitters set on its triggers. Now sometimes loading a checkpoint will put you a bit farther than it was when it originally saved it. So that's the case for every boss. It like skips the end of the boss cutscene. So we'll be using that a few times throughout this run, and also a few times outside of bosses for different reasons. So this is the orange orb. Beating the boss sort of like imbued it with its power, and the power of this specific orb is to create essentially like light bridges from Portal. So we're kind of just being taught how to use it at this point. So over here we have another hub. You can see there are 2 orb slots there, so we can't quite activate that yet. So we need to go further. And we're going to encounter, I do think these are called drillers officially. This is the only time they appear in the game, and I hate them very much. So we've got to drag them over these switches, but if we let go of them, they're going to start going back to where they originally were. So it's a case of timing, and it's the only thing like it in this game. You have to, like, precisely time multiple different things at once. Definitely a lot of room for optimization here. But with that, and this vast green fog, we are introduced to now the green orb and its respective boss. We can get a sense for its ability just during this cutscene. I also really love that the little character you play as, like during these cutscenes, sort of tilts his head just in the direction of like the point of interest. Just a nice little touch. That adds so much character to the game. But yeah, now we're managing 2 orbs at once, which is, well, double the orbs. And with 2 orbs at this next hub, well, we'll be able to take an orb inside an orb. And this is where things start to really get serious. So we do have to go into the green orb to progress, but not quite yet, because there's one other thing that we need to get within the orange orb. I'm on Team Orange, by the way. One thing to note about these codes is that they are reversible, so you can do them forwards or backwards, except for one of them, which I'll get to later. For the secret ending codes, you cannot do them in reverse. And I'll save that story for if it becomes an incentive, or if it doesn't become an incentive, just, yeah. If it becomes an incentive for when it's met, or if it doesn't become an incentive for the run at GDQ itself, assuming this gets in. But now with our new friend, we can quickly swap the orbs here, and now head into the green world, this whole water world. I am a huge sucker for water-themed worlds in video games. So here's our first introduction of what's called key killers. Kind of self-explanatory. They kill the key, or they kill our friends. We can get our friends back in that little at that little spot, and yeah, these become the subject of a few puzzles later on, and just a few right now. This is probably, I'm pretty sure this next puzzle was in the trailer, and this is one of my favorites. I think it's definitely a fan favorite, people who've played this game. We put the orb in here, and, well, we need to get past the key killer. So, in order to get past it, instead of going around it inside the world, we literally just leave. And then go back in. And that is the sort of puzzles that you're going to be expecting from this game. It is insanely clever. Again, we're just having all these little optimizations, getting the orb right off that podium as soon as possible, just to squeeze right through that wall. Always trying to grab the orb from as far away as possible. One thing that's worth noting now is that the direction you face when you leap out of one of those exit portals is the same direction you will be facing when you leave the orb. You'll actually be offset in that direction by a smidge, and that can help ever so slightly for tiny optimizations. Now, these little pole orbs, we've seen them around before, but I haven't really gotten a chance to talk about them. I mean, they're fairly self-explanatory. You just pull them along tracks, but there's actually a bit of leniency to them. So you can let go of them just a tiny bit early, and it lets you optimize even more. Optimize, optimize, optimize is the theme with this game, and I love it. So we're coming up here on our next boss, and I haven't introduced the name of it yet, but I will when you see what the mechanic revolving around this boss is. So yeah, if you've played Super Mario Odyssey, you're gonna know this one. This is Molest Glancier. This is the one boss I named after mechanic and not after appearance. So with this first one, we need him to sort of just like plow through that pillar and reveal the orb for us. I'm gonna do a little dodging section and kill it. So the location of that orb is random. It can be in any one of the pillars. For the second phase here, it will not be revealed until he's already done at least one lunge attack. So I just try to get him to hit as many as possible in this one. And then we get to see what it's at, which is that down right one. Unfortunately, like happened here, this is another random chance. If he doesn't get it, like if he doesn't hit the orb on the second try, then he does that little vacuuming attack, and it wastes a little bit of time. Nothing we can do about that, though. It's completely random. Boss RNG loves to just completely screw over your runs. This boss, and the fourth boss especially. Now, if you weren't convinced about why this should be called Molest Glancier, you should be now. For this phase, I'm not entirely sure, like, the technicalities of how it works. I'm pretty sure the orb spawns opposite to you after the first attack, but it's really just a matter of, like, just hugging that wall, trying to get there as soon as possible. Fun fact, I have no idea how I was able to get there without him doing a second spinning attack. That has never happened before, until this run. Classic GDQ moment. And that wound up making up for all of the time save that I lost for the extra attack during the second phase. So yeah, after that final hit, we take a reset there, saves quite a bit of time, and now we have the green orb's power. Internally, this is called Cloak. Sort of just make these platforms appear and disappear. These little platforms also move when you do them. Instead of just going appearing and disappearing, they move as well. And you rotate when they move as well, so more tiny little optimizations. This is a neat little puzzle. You need to have it solid so that it stops moving. And of course we want to take the orb to stop it from moving as soon as possible. Just make it barely. Optimization, optimization, optimization. This next one here is pretty cool. It sort of like demonstrates the parody of it. You kind of need to, like, use that other pillar right there to switch the parity of the moving platform so we can get up to the middle. Now, you may have noticed that we've been carrying around the green orb. The orange orb is still inside of it. And this is where the game is really going to start making use of that mechanic to its fullest. Like, as you can see, we're going to go into the green orb here. There was a little orange life bridge platform over there, so we're going to need the orange orb, but we also need the green orb over there, as you're going to see. So what we do is we put the green orb inside the orange orb and then carry the orange orb over the other side. And these are the kinds of puzzles that you're going to really be expecting from this game. I do want to take a second here to just appreciate the sound design of this game, and once again give a hand to Jakob Schmid. Did a wonderful job. This entire game's, like, every sound in this game was synthesized from scratch. All of the music, all of the sound effects, everything. He's done a couple interviews about it, and also, like, the music, there is no, like, set music. The music is sequenced in real time to accommodate to the player's actions in-game. And it was all custom written specifically for this game. And it's stuff like that that really makes me adore the team at Geometric. So we have our next little friend here. It's not exactly clear where we need to take him yet, but he does point to where we need to go. So we have this ominous little area with all these purple plants. I'm sure those won't be important later. Another tiny little optimization worth noting is that on those little hubs, on the inside half of those circles, there's a bit of a delay before you can actually start holding the button to start warping into the world, because it gives you a chance to swap out the orbs. If you're on the outside half, it takes less time to actually commence the little warping animation. So it's just a tiny little optimization that we can keep doing again and again. Every little, like, millisecond counts in this game. Slam dunk! That is certainly a moment that people love about this game. I've seen it in multiple reviews. Once again, we're leading our friend to who knows where. This game is just leading us places, and we're going along with it. Well, I know exactly where we're going, but theoretically, this little bug that we're playing as has no idea. Let's just take a second to appreciate the environment. Like, we appreciated the sound. Let's also appreciate the environment. This little sequence right here, there's no reason for this to be here, apart from just world building. And it's incredible. Like, this little plant island, with all the little popping plants, no reason for that to be there. Other than aesthetics. I love it. It's so great. Yeah, so here, we're going to use this little spring to sort of just launch over the key killer. And now, we have brought the friend to his home. And the door opens to reveal a purple fog. And you know what that means? A purple orb. Now we have 3 orbs. And along with a new orb comes a new boss. Now, all of these bosses I named after appearance, I mean, apart from Mollusk, but this one is Phantom. And I'm sure you can sort of see why, and it'll be even more apparent in the boss fight. So right around here is going to be our first instance of using reset strats outside of boss fight, because it saves just a lot of time not having to go back into the orb, take out the other orbs, go back into the other orb. Like, it saves a lot of warps, and every warp is around 5 seconds or so, maybe a little bit less. So we're saving as much time as we can. That one, I'm not sure exactly how much it saves. I want to say it's around 15 seconds. 10 to 15 seconds, something like that. But now we're here in the purple world, and this is, it certainly is a world. Everything seems super, like, weirdly organic, yet also not. It's creepy. And it's in this world that we're going to be introduced to, a new mechanic called walkers. We're going to see in just a moment here. So that little guy's a walker, and walkers they walk, and they will chase you. And it's important to, or they don't chase you, they just follow you around. It's important to stay far away from them, though, because if they get close to you, they slow down. And, of course, we don't want that, because we need them to go as fast as they can. Now, typically, walkers need to be led to their little podiums, like you can see right there. If that little blue circle is around them, then that means they're automatically going to a destination and they won't follow you. But yeah, walkers produce like another element of just, more optimization, more little, like, precision. So we're going to put the orb there, we're going to go up and grab the green orb, and throw that in too. So now we have 2 orbs in the orb. Now it's important, specifically for this, that we put the orange orb on the right and the green one on the left, because, after this little transporter ride, those orbs are they're gonna fly off. And if they're in this position, they take less time to fly to their destinations than if it was in the other position. Although we do need to wait just a little bit. I find it really fascinating that they managed to make these little creatures sound like animals when they're really, like, every sound they make is completely synthesized. Okay, so we're gonna do some more puzzles with walkers here. We're gonna have this walker carry the orange orb, and yeah, we're gonna need them to, open that gate for us that closed behind us. And we're also going to need them to... We're going to need to take them back to that middle section there. So this is where it's important that you need to stay as far away from the walkers, because if you saw there, it slowed down a little bit. So that was probably about like half a second of time loss, and it may not seem like much, but that adds up. So now this is the part where you have to be careful, and you do have to move slowly, because you will fall off. Typically, you can't fall off ledges in this game, but you will fall off those. So we've got one side done, now we need to get to the other side. And, oh, that's where the green orb is. We're actually gonna wake up another walker over there. And this, funny thing, this is the only instance we know of where, the FPS that your game is running at, like the frame rate, actually affects, the puzzles. If you run at a lower frame rate, then you can sort of skip this, because the walker moves slower, and you can just get him to walk straight to the middle platform without having to do all this extra work in stopping him on the right platform over there. Of course, it winds up not being worth it, because them walking slower for the rest of the game winds up losing way more time than it's worth. And we haven't even really come to a formal decision as a community yet on what to do regarding that sort of thing. This game it did only come out 2 months ago. Yet it already has become insanely optimized. Now we have about a minute-long cutscene here, so this is obviously a great time for donations, as well as a great time to remind you to hydrate. Water is very important. So here we need to drop the orange orb off outside the purple orb, because we need to take the green orb over with those little cloak platforms. And you may see the segments called suitcase warps. Most of these segments are actually just taken from the game files. The images in the game files for each of the checkpoints. Some of them I named myself, and yeah, most of them are just from those images. Yeah, it's funny. It's nice seeing like little things that the developers called things, even if they don't have official names. It makes sense, like, because you're sort of packing orbs inside each other, as if it's like a suitcase, and you're doing warps with them. So here's a warp platform, but wait, we're already inside an orb. Well, now we're inside an orb that's inside an orb. Would you look at that? So over here, we're gonna grab our next friend. This code specifically is cyclic. So you can start or end it at any point in the code, and it sort of loops around. Of course, I make a mistake here and misread my splits and get the code wrong the first time. That means we're gonna make a mad dash to where the friend actually spawns. This one's surprisingly far away. So this next puzzle, there's going to be a key killer that is just completely blocking the path. There's no way around it. So the solution is to that. Have your friend dead inside the green orb so you can take it over. Normally you would nest the orange orb inside of it as well, but it turns out that's actually slower than just carrying them both separately across that. So that's what we do. And of course we get that nice little puzzle solved jingle. Get a little hit of dopamine every single time that happens. Right there doing one of those turnaround optimizations with the facing direction. Just worth pointing that out as it happened. Like facing right, like you're just quickly turning around to face right on the exit portal so that we get a tiny bit farther right on when we actually exit and respawn outside of the world. As you can see, the green orb actually moves, or the left guy actually moves a little bit faster here. We're even faster. So yeah, we're obviously going to want to go, even though it's just a tiny bit faster, obviously every little half a second counts. We're going to launch that left guy over first, because the right guy we'd have to wait longer for the right guy to get there. And again, it's these tiny optimizations that you'll wind up seeing over and over again throughout the entire run, and that's what makes it so compelling for me as a runner, and for, I'm sure, a lot of other people who also run the game. Now, we're coming up on the third boss here, who I did mention we call Phantoon. Now, the mechanic of this boss is you have this mirror, and you kind of just can mirror yourself at will. Just teleport. What we need to do is hit those little plants that just summon bombs. The location of those plants tends to be random, but it's nowhere near as, like, there's nowhere near as much time difference as there is in, like, other bosses. Now, it's worth noting that after every time you hit the boss, they're going to, like, stomp on the platform that you're on. And then after they're done stomping, they're going to move over to where your little mirror is before they start doing their little spinny thing again. So just having yourself and then the mirror as close to the boss as possible just saves that tiny little bit of time. So, I mean, obviously I guess the time it takes to defeat this boss is really just sort of rate limited by how long it takes for those bomb plants to spawn. Which sucks, so it's a lot of just dodging. But this is surprisingly difficult. Those red patches make you way slower if you're walking on them. And, like, moving around to get, like, your mirror to optimize things is always cool. Now we're on the final phase of this fight here. He's gonna summon himself, like, some armor. The plant is gonna spawn immediately, but we can't quite hit it yet because this armor will completely block the explosion. So we need to wait for him to become vulnerable, at which point we can just immediately hit the plant and defeat the boss. Once again, doing a reset, so we can skip the ending cutscene there and save just a few seconds. I mean, you may have seen that I was actually moving a bit there after, as I spawned, and I was in a weird spot. What I actually did was I pause buffered after the little pause in the load. The level was actually done loading. So if you pause and unpause there, you can regain control before the game normally would let you. And that lets you get just a couple inches farther in a lot of situations. So coming up here, this little guy, officially called a crawler, unofficially called Blorbo. So Blorbo is kind of sad, because Blorbo is stuck on this track. Can't move outside of the track, just stuck within the confines of that little goo track. And unfortunately, we can't do anything about it for this specific Blorbo, but for the next Blorbo, we may be able to help them. And if you haven't noticed, the mechanic of the purple orb is that you can sort of just grab any of those little eggplants, and it'll just teleport the orb to you. It's a really underused element, in my opinion. Yeah, so, normally you'd have to go hit that switch. We're not gonna do that, because this Blorbo needs saving. He needs to be free. And by doing some weird inputs and a weird setup, we can sort of just, get Blorbo to go wherever the hell you want him to. Apologies for the language. In this case, we have him go right back, just, to get him to the spot we want him to. There is a way to get Blorbo over there faster, and actually behind the little orb capture that we're gonna see. But it's incredibly inconsistent and only saves a couple more seconds, so I don't opt to do it here. But yeah, this instance of free Blorbo, as we call it, saves about 25 seconds. And we're about to do another one. This one works very differently. Not even sure why this one works. The previous one, I assume... We're not sure why it works either, but I have more of an idea. But this one's a bit more finicky. We sort of just, like, hug a corner. Just, like, run into a corner until he goes out of bounds. This one saves less time overall. I wind up losing time in total, but it's worth it because we get to see Blorbo be freed, finally. And this Blorbo will actually stay free. Because what we're going to do is we're going to go around and let this orb catcher catch Blorbo midair. And then we're going to put Blorbo all the way up there where we actually need to go. Now, it's important to note that I can't stop moving while I'm controlling Blorbo and they're midair, because there is a weird thing that happens when you stop moving with Blorbo and they're midair, and they wind up, like, rotating wildly to, specifically to a plane that intersects the original point, the last point they were on solid ground at, and we don't want that. So we need to be careful not to rotate it. The previous free Blorbo would actually take advantage of that, but it's so erratic and inconsistent that not really worth it for me, at least. Unfortunately, that is going to be the last we see of Blorbo, but we do get to have peace in the fact that Blorbo is free and is no longer confined to his Blorbo goo. We're gonna have another little UFO ride here. This UFO is named Michael. I don't know why, he's just named Michael. Not officially, but his name is Michael. Say hi, Michael. This is another reminder to hydrate if you haven't been hydrating. Go drink water. And this UFO ride is actually just a clever way to put the orbs in correct places. What we have here is actually a big mega puzzle with all 3 different orbs. We need to hit 3 different switches. And there's like a big puzzle for each one. Doesn't matter what order you do them in, this is just the order I prefer. But all of them are going to involve these walkers and some shenanigans with them. We are actually going to get to do yet another slam dunk onto this walker. And then stop him right as he's over the switch to get past that moving wall. Because the end goal of all 3 of these mini puzzles is to hit that switch, which will then have our orb get taken away. It got captured by a pitch black void. And now we get to go hang gliding with the void. Now if we just ignore me forgetting to grab the orange orb that I absolutely need here. I will say that if I had a nickel for every indie game I've played that takes place in a land of bugs, has weirdly cryptic yet deep lore, and has a mysterious pitch black sort of void entity, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. So you can actually walk under that platform, which I didn't know for a while, but it saves a bunch of time just having more direct lines to the stairs. This is, I think, one of my favorite puzzles. It's so simple, yet so clever. Like, obviously, the orange orb is making that light bridge, so if we just grab the orange orb off, we can drop the walker off the bridge and hit the switch. Finally, we have the green orb puzzle over here. Just a lot of stuff going on. We have this walker, we have a pipe, we have a switch, we have a little spring. It's just a lot of elements, and they all come together really nicely. Get the walker on the launch pad, throw the orb in the pipe, hit the switch, make the launch pad do the launching, walk back, go grab the orb, put it back on the walker, have the walker follow you over to the cloak platform. And then have the walker hold down the switch for you so that you can go back around and change the parity of the cloak platform so that you can actually get to where you need to go. It's always been all of these little elements that, I mean, alone are really just like little nothings, but they all come together to form this really just unique puzzle experience. And well, with that, we've successfully had the Void capture all 3 of our orbs, and now we've unlocked another turntable, which turns over to be an exit portal? Well, yeah, you thought there were only 3 orbs. You were wrong. It turns out we were in an orb this entire time. And this is probably the least fitting name I've given to a boss, but it is the first thing that came to my head when I saw it. So, its name is unofficially Quadraxis. We're grabbing our 5th friend here. Out in this world of who knows what, with our white orb with who knows what power. And we don't even really have any other tools at our disposal because those other 3 orbs are captured. We are going to deliver our friend to his home there, so he can open this door for us. These door opening animations never get old. They're just so convoluted and mechanical. Now we have whatever this world building aspect is that I have no idea. But, this area right here that I'm walking through right now, I want you to remember this area. That's all I'll say. But now we're coming up onto our 4th boss. Quite soon after it being introduced, we are going to fight Quadraxis. But not before this incredible sequence of this giant cannon thing. coming out of the pillar that we're standing on. Not a lot of it makes sense, but it's pretty, so that's what matters. So, before the boss even starts, we do need to, like, free 4 more friends to unlock that little, barricade. And, of course, that's optimized, too, because why wouldn't it be? Oh, and this, orb power for this boss just allows us to fly. Because why wouldn't it? We can just fly now. But only for a short time, and only from those white pads. Now, Quadraxis. I hate Quadraxis. So, the goal of this boss, you can see those little orange, pads. That's where you need to get him to stomp. You can destroy one of his legs. Obviously, do that to all of his legs and he dies. Fairly self-explanatory. The problem is, he's very large. Touching him, like any other boss, will make you lose. And it's harder to avoid, especially when everything you can walk on is way slower. Like, it's the slow walking goo sort of thing. So you're kind of forced to fly. But if you're not near one of those pads, then you're kind of screwed. Also worth noting that, once again, these pads that he has to stomp on are completely random. No idea which one it's going to be, and you won't know until a certain number of them have already been stomped on. And of course, you can't see the whole arena at, like, all at once. So sometimes it may even take you longer than it could have, just because you couldn't see the entire area, but it wasn't safe to go explore it. I don't know. It's a good boss in concept, but not in practice. Although that is just personal opinion. And for this phase, you want him to just, like, you want him to jump as few times as possible, but also you don't want to die. It's a compromise between, oh, do I let him kill me, or do I wait for the, or do I save the time, or do I wait the extra couple seconds? Anyway, now with Quadraxis defeated, we have officially unlocked the White Orb's power, which is to shoot bullets. We have a gun. We gave the bug a gun of light, and with it we are able to destroy the diamonds of Void. And you can only shoot from those little white pads there. And you can only shoot in 8 directions, not 360 degrees, like your movement is, unfortunately. You also have to charge up your shots. Like, you can't just shoot instantly. It is a hold action. And it only works after a certain amount of time. It's a pain in the butt to get the timing down for, like, just to have the exact amount of charge needed to actually fire the shot. Not charging for too long that you're wasting time charging, or not charging for not long enough that you don't wind up firing the shot at all. And we're going to be firing a lot of shots, so getting that timing down is important. So now we have, oh. 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 Well. It looks like we are stuck with our white orb, and this giant thing has awakened. That's not creepy at all. That is, in fact, the Sun Ancestor, as it is officially called. That one has an official name. we will be fighting it multiple times, and every time we fight it, I have a different name for it. And this one is a neat puzzle involving mirrors. Obviously, these are little balls of light. They reflect off mirrors. Like the high energy pellets do in Portal 1. So we're going to actually do a reset after we open this little thing here. Because we're about to go into the first bout of, I wouldn't say fisticuffs, but that's the first thing that comes to mind, with our Sun Ancestor here. Now, the way these boss fights work is you gotta shoot all the diamonds. And I have insane setups for all of them. This one is, no joke, definitely the hardest. You fight him 3 times, and the first one's the hardest to get optimal. But yeah, those diamonds rotate on global cycles, so it depends on how long the area has been loaded. So that's why we reset there, on top of it saving just a little bit of time. It sets up the cycles in a proper way that it can be consistent every time. Ignoring the fact that I messed up the last level of that. And now for defeating the Sun Ancestor, he gives us an orb. We get our green orb back. Heck yeah. So you saw with the 4 mirrors puzzle that we had the white orb in a little receptacle that winds up shooting it automatically. Now we can shoot into other orbs. Unfortunately, it's impossible to make it fast enough to grab the first cycle on that moving platform. Trust me, I've tried. And the same is going to be true for this next one. Truly unfortunate. Yeah, so up here we have this little area here, which is actually incredibly important. It's going to be used a lot. We have a switch that can change the location of the exit portal, and keeping track of that exit portal's location is going to be crucial, because it's going to determine where the shots go and what direction we can shoot it from. We're going to need to be changing that quite a bit over these next few puzzles. I recall correctly, yes, this is the run that I forgot to change the direction of the exit portal, so you're gonna see me futz around with this for about 20 seconds before realizing what I did wrong. Not everyone's perfect. It happens. Yeah, just to show how important it is to remember when you need to change the orientation of that exit portal. Yeah, so here we're going to do another reset because it saves transporting the green orb all the way up to this little void sphere. And here, this is my favorite of the 3 encounters with the Sun Ancestor, because this is not limited by the diamonds rotating. It is purely limited by how fast you can fire. And that was a flawless fight. But now, it's not as simple as just shooting a bullet at him. He has mirrors now. He's got some armor. So we're gonna play a bit of ping pong. Gotta destroy that faceplate like you do on the white Emmy. There's also some visual resemblance with that, red cross for, like, that one eye, the big red cross, or little red cross even. Got those, pointy, or not, like those four, outer, like, points on the edge of his face. I guess the guy also has, like, 80 more eyes on top of the one in the middle, but it's close enough. I have to call him 3 different names. I can call him White Emmy for one of them. The first one, 140 Part 3B, is actually a reference to the final boss of 140, which was Carlson's first indie game. And the whole, like, shooting section, like shooting the diamonds in the circle, is an obvious reference to that. Go play that game if you haven't. It's really fun. But with that, we've gotten our orange orb back. And we can progress a bit more in the orange world now that we have the ability to shoot those diamonds. So, this is a big, kind of thing that we haven't seen before. But this is a very unique object. This is what the game calls, at least internally, a universe door, or universe bridge, rather. And, well, first, we're gonna just place the white orb over there. Just trust me. And we're gonna move it over to that platform. No reason in particular. But, yeah, if you're a fan of non-Euclidean geometry, then you're gonna love these. Because, remember that place I told you to remember before? Well, we're in that place now. And if you exit the white orb, well, you go where the white orb is, and we move the white orb to the other side of that, gap, and now we're across the gap. One of my favorite mechanics in this game is the universe bridge. And of course, we're gonna be using it again. Because why wouldn't we? Because there's some business that we have to do on the sun. Which is this world that we're in. This is actually the outside of all the orbs. We are not contained within yet a 5th orb. Unfortunately. As fun as 5 orbs would be. Yeah, once again, we move the white orb across the gap, because we are entering the white orb by going through that door. And we can exit the white orb back on the platform where it was. We're going to shoot those stairs open. And then we are going to place the white orb in here just to get that little hub opening while we move back to get the other orbs. Now, once again, there's another case where we have that receptacle that automatically shoots the white orb for us, and we need to pay attention to the orientation of the green orb, which currently is not in the right spot. Resetting to a checkpoint actually automatically resets the portal, the exit portal here, to a specific spot. Because it doesn't actually save your progress, it just has a series of checkpoints that it allows you to access once you've reached certain points in the game. So, like, the state of the game won't necessarily be what you left it as, and that's the reason why reset strats work in the first place. Speaking of reset strats, though, we have to pack everything into the orange orb to take it across that bridge that we just opened. And we'd have to unpack it for the next puzzle, which is really slow. So what we're going to do is just kind of pack it without really paying attention to what we're doing. Normally, we'd also have to change the orientation of the green orb again. But now we can just pack the orbs inside the orange orb, go across this bridge, wait for the checkpoint to trigger, and then just reset. Do a little pause buffer to start moving early, and look at that, all of the orbs are unpacked already. So, we've seen orbs shooting into orbs. And, well, we need to shoot into the orb. But we need to have the orange orb to get across this bridge. So, what if instead we shoot the orb in the orb? Yo, dog, I heard you like orbs, so I put an orb in your orb. So you could orb while you orb. But yeah, once again, with that puzzle solved, we would have to change the orientation of the green, pack everything, unpack everything at the next one. That's really slow. Let's just grab it and just walk over to the next checkpoint. The reason we have to pack them in the first place and not just take the orange orb alone is because the checkpoint won't trigger unless you have all 3 orbs with you on the other side of the bridge. Now, if that last puzzle make you felt like a genius when you completed it, which it definitely did for me the first time I played this game, this one's gonna be even better. Because, sure, we've shot into one orb. We've shot into an orb inside an orb. But now, what if we shoot an orb inside an orb inside an orb? The little jingle sure thinks it's a good idea. Shoot the orb into itself, which then goes into the orange orb, which then goes into the green orb, and it takes a while. Then we manage to rise up and move on to the next puzzle. This is my favorite puzzle in this game. It is just so wacky, is the best way I can describe it. We gotta shoot this mirror. We got some mirrors. We're essentially on a timer. Oh, but that's a little springboard. And we have a button. And we can shoot the orb midair. We got some orb acrobatics. Now, unfortunately, we do have to actually unpack the orb here, because there's no checkpoint quite yet. But Unpacking the orbs once is way better than unpacking the orbs 3 times. And we don't even have to fully unpack them, we just need the green one. Once again, I'm going to do a quick reset to set up the global cycles properly and to save a bit of time in moving the orbs all over to the pedestals here. Now here, we're locked to orthogonal directions, because whenever you shoot, the shields rotate this time instead of the diamonds. So we're going to take extra shots, intentionally missing, to speed up that fight. And now, the ultimate long shot. And with that, it's time to fight Ganondorf. The most compelling game of table tennis you have seen in 2023. And with that, the Sun Ancestor, otherwise known as 140 Part 3B, otherwise known as White Emmy, otherwise known as Ganondorf, otherwise known as God, is defeated. But not before giving us the final orb. Now, we may have defeated God, but, as you may have noticed, we still have around, like, 11 minutes left in this run. So we're not quite done yet. We get taken to this place, which is really pretty. It shows all of the moon ancestors you've collected, if you have collected any. We're going to go through one final big sequence here, because there's still some unresolved stuff inside the purple orb that we've just received from the Sun God. Well, I don't know if you can see up there, but there is a friend receptacle, which means we need a friend. And, well, we don't have a friend, or we don't quite have access to a friend yet, so we need to go find one. It's at this point that I would love to just talk about how cleverly this game is designed in terms of slowly introducing new concepts and locking you out of things when you don't need to have them yet, giving you just the amount of things that you need to understand this concept. And I say that as we're starting to lose orbs, because we're inside the purple orb right now, which means we can't really use it for anything. We need the white orb to shoot the diamond to get the platform over. So we're stuck with just the green and orange orb on that side of the bridge. And that's all we're going to have going into this final section. And you don't even notice it when you're first playing the game. Just like, oh, I'm going to leave this orb here, and we're going to do this thing. But it's so clever, because this next thing that's going to happen is going to be the most mind-bending thing you've ever seen. You thought the previous puzzles were mind-bending. This is going to seriously break you. We have yet another universe bridge. And, well, That one seems to very clearly go to the green world. But, wait. We have the green orb. And we have the orange orb to get the bridge. And we can take the green orb into the green world. The natural conclusion to all of the mind-bending puzzles that this game has had to offer is to put an orb within itself. And this isn't going to be a short section. They're gonna seriously play around with this, all the things that you could do with it. It's really clever and really interesting how many things that you can do with a concept like this. Like, we're gonna set that spawn point because we need to bring the orange orb over there, right? Well, how do we bring the orange orb over there? Well, we have the green orb. We can go to the green world in the green orb. And we set our spawn point over there, so now we can bring the orange orb over there and use the bridge. And now we've lost the orange orb as well. So we are stuck with only the green orb. So you know these puzzles are going to get pretty crazy with just the idea of green in green. Which is literally what this entire section is called. And I love that. Now, you know how we use the universe bridges to get to the white orb on the other side of, like, platforms, with moving platforms exactly like this one? Well, who needs a universe bridge when you're already inside the world that you need to get to? Coming over here, using this little moving platform, we arrive at our final friend. Now, just to be clear, I wasn't recording this as a PB attempt. I was just recording this to have a run to submit to GDQ. So my nerves are pretty high right now that I'm like 2 minutes ahead of my PB. Once again, we're using that facing direction, exiting the portal to get the optimal offset when you actually come out of the orb, just that like extra inch or two. We have this final puzzle in our green and green section, using, once again, a moving exit portal. We've got to open that with the friend just to get around the key killer, who's on that bridge there. And again, pardon me just forgetting how to do this puzzle for a second. I don't lose as much time as I did with the previous one that I forgot, but, oh yeah, that happens. You try to exit the orb while you're holding it. You can actually use that on a couple of these exit portals to get out of bounds. It's not a useful glitch, though. You just wind up falling forever, which is unfortunate. And now is when we leave. And normally we'd need to take all of the orbs with us, but we can kind of just ditch them. Because we're about to have the biggest reset strat in the run. Because the checkpoint doesn't care what orbs you have with you or where they are. It just cares when you've used the friend. And because of that, we can ditch all of these orbs, skip all of this transporting back and forth between, on this moving platform. Just leave all those orbs there. And we wind up saving over a minute with this one reset. Because once this door starts opening, we're gonna reset, and all of the orbs magically will reappear right where we need them. And with this, we have our final puzzle, the ultimate orb nesting. We need to have an orb inside an orb, inside an orb, inside an orb. And not just any orbs, you have to have them in a specific order as well. Specifically, it has to be orange, in white, in purple, in green. But with that, we are indeed going to do one final reset after this checkpoint where we put the orb down, because it does save like 15 seconds. It's a neat animation, but we care more about the time. Oh, and look, there's another universe bridge. I wonder where this one takes us. Well, we're already basically done with the game, so it's gotta lead us to the ending. This is definitely a place we haven't seen yet. Really creepy, to be completely honest. But as we take this last launch pad, we're gonna see that, well, we're not too far away from home. Or rather, where this entire journey began. Time is going to end as soon as I lose control when this action finishes. And that is COCOON. Just some closing thoughts here. I mean, this game is amazing in every right. The speedrunning community for this game it's small, but it is dedicated. Like I mentioned before, it took the effort of the entire speedrunning community to find that secret ending, which is definitely a story you're gonna have to hear when I do the secret ending at GDQ. For sure. But yeah, about the secret ending, it's really just a neat story. There's some really cryptic puzzles that obviously we wind up skipping, but we do get some cool animations at all the friend things, and we get an extra cutscene post-credits. So doing that would add around 6 minutes total to the run. 4 for just watching the credits and watching the secret ending, and 2 for actually triggering it. For all Moon Ancestors, obviously the goal would be collect all 11 Moon Ancestors, scattered throughout the game. That category is basically the de facto 100%. It's not much longer at all. They're not too far off, and maybe add like 7 minutes to the total time. So yeah, that was Cocoon. I've been Ash, and I will let the credits play out. Bye-bye.